What is it really like to be a high income earner in the Philippines? For some people, maybe it means a comfortable life, eating outside often, buying gadgets, living in a condo, or traveling abroad. But for me, it may not be what you expect. Hi, my name is Onat. I work in the IT industry and currently live in Metro Manila. I make daily life vlogs and mini walking tour vlogs as a hobby. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you for your continued support. Today is a weekend, so I decided to visit this property that I acquired back in 2019. I usually come here every other week just to clean the place and relax. The house is already mostly finished, but there's a leak coming from the concrete slab when it rains, so I have to fix that first before buying other things like furniture and appliances. The contractor who renovated this only applied waterproofing paint before, but the leak keeps coming back. I'm now thinking of putting a roof here before the rainy season starts, but honestly, I don't have the budget for it yet. The renovation already cost me around 600,000 pesos or around 10,000 US dollars because when I got this house, it was still in bare condition. That's actually common here in the Philippines, especially for budget housing projects like this. You get the unit in a bare or rough finished condition so you can buy it at a lower price, but you still have to spend on renovations to make it livable. If the unit was already fully finished during turnover, the price would probably be double or even more. I bought this house for around 1.4 million pesos or around 23,000 US dollars in today's exchange rate back in 2019. I paid a 20% down payment and financed the rest through a housing loan, which I'm still paying today. The main reason I bought this property was the location. It's not a luxury area or anything like that, but what I like is that it's close to the center of Calamba City. My original plan was to use this as a vacation house for me and my family whenever they visit. But if my kids decide to study here in Calamba or in nearby areas like Los Baños in the future, then at least they will already have a place to stay and won't need to rent. There are also many other schools around the area, so they'll have more options in the future. Now, back to the leaking roof. I actually had no idea about the situation because it never rained during the times I came here, but today it suddenly poured down. That's how I found out how serious the leak is. I was actually surprised by how severe it is. This isn't just a leak, it's a flash flood. Now, I have to prioritize fixing this over anything else. The ceiling is already damaged, so that will also need to be replaced. I honestly thought this was just a minor leak. It turns out it's like a pipe suddenly burst based on how strong the leak is. Right now, it's literally raining inside the house, and the water is coming in more heavily than expected. Right now, I really can't do anything about it other than to secure my things and wait for the rain to stop. I checked the source and the concrete slab actually looks fine, but there might be a crack somewhere that is not visible. Finally, the rain stopped, but as you can see, the floor is flooded. So let me remove the water, and while I do that, let's get back to our main topic. So, how much do I actually earn in my current job? By the way, I'm not a software developer or anything highly technical like that. I still do some technical work, but development isn't really my main role. I've been working in this industry for around 7 years now. Before this, I also worked in a shipyard in Japan for 4 years. That's where I learned the Japanese language. My current work still involves Japanese in some way, together with IT. Honestly, I wouldn't even consider myself a fluent Japanese speaker, but my level is enough for the work I do. So right now, I earn around 100,000 pesos gross per month, or roughly around 1,600 US dollars. For many people, that already sounds like a high salary, and technically, it is. Based on what I've seen online, only around 3% of Filipinos earn this much, especially for a single income. For comparison, many people here earn somewhere around 20,000 pesos monthly, or even less. So if you only look at the numbers, 100,000 pesos sounds like a comfortable life. But reality feels very different once responsibilities enter the picture. Out of the 1,600 US dollars, around 300 bucks immediately goes to taxes. Before I even receive my salary, a large portion is already gone. And honestly, it feels frustrating because you don't really see where that money goes. Things like public transportation still feel very inconvenient, and it doesn't feel like the government is doing much to improve the lives of many Filipinos. Then I send money to my family in the province, usually around 500 bucks every month. That's not optional for me because my family depend on it. After that, around 350 bucks goes to my personal loan. That loan was mainly used for renovating this house. And even after spending that much, the renovation still isn't fully complete. Then another 150 bucks goes to my housing loan, and that one will continue for many more years. After all of that, what's left for me personally every month is not actually that much. That's the part many people don't really see. When people hear someone earns 100,000 pesos, they immediately imagine a comfortable lifestyle, maybe eating outside often, buying expensive gadgets, traveling anytime, or living in a nice condo. But once you have responsibilities, money disappears very quickly. As for my own lifestyle, I actually live a very simple and frugal life. I don't own a car, although I own a small motorcycle, mainly for convenience. Most of the time, I actually use a bicycle going to work. My workplace is only around 4 kilometers away, but anyone who has experienced Manila traffic knows even short distances can feel exhausting. When it comes to food, I keep things simple too. I try to cook my own meals as much as possible. I do eat out occasionally, but I try to limit it. Even on weekends, I usually eat first before going out so I don't spend unnecessarily. As for my rent, I stay with a relative right now, and thankfully, I don't pay rent. If I did, this setup would probably be even more difficult to maintain. But there are always unexpected expenses: repairs, medicine, family emergencies, things suddenly breaking, and items that need replacing. Before you realize it, there's nothing left. Then life repeats again. It feels like you're barely surviving day by day and month by month. And before you know it, another year comes to an end, but you're still stuck in the same cycle. Sometimes I even think about quitting my job, not because I hate working, but because life can feel like a cycle. Wake up, go to work, pay bills, repeat. I'm not sharing this to complain. I know many people have a much harder situation than mine. I'm fully aware of that. But I also know there are people quietly going through the same thing. People earning what should already be considered a decent income, yet still feeling financially stuck. Maybe this is simply the reality of middle class life in the Philippines. You're not poor enough to qualify for assistance, but you're also not financially comfortable enough to feel truly secure. You're somewhere in the middle, trying your best to keep everything together. I honestly don't have a perfect conclusion for this video. This is simply where I am right now in life. And if you're in a similar situation, then maybe you already understand what I'm talking about. And if not, then maybe this video gives a more realistic picture of what middle class life can actually look like here in the Philippines. Not the version shown in statistics, but the version many people quietly live every day. Thanks for watching.